Hey everyone.
I looked up the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
I mean,
John.
we talked about that. That's what she's trying to be out of focus and the what.
Hey Ramon. I heard you there. And we're joined today by Marissa, is that right?
Yeah, Marisa.
Marissa, thank you. Thanks for coming aboard. Usually at the start of the meeting, we wait around 4 or 5 minutes, kind of let folks trickle in before we kind of kick things off. But I understand you reached out to Ramon about an interest in learning about our concerns about just purchasing insurance and the insurance crisis. Is that right?
I did, yeah, yeah. And thank you so much for letting me sit in. Um, Basically, I've done quite a bit of reporting on the insurance crises, but mostly on how it's affecting homeowners. But more recently, I've been hearing from businesses that they're being affected too, and it's, affecting some of their business decisions and so and their ability to stay afloat. And so I just kind of wanted to reach out to as many people as possible just to, try to get a feel for how many are being affected, if it's part of conversations, that kind of thing. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, great. Okay. And how did you come upon Ramon's information or yeah, what was your pathway to finding this group?
Yeah, so we're based in Santa Rosa. We do a lot of Sonoma County stuff, but I do like to cover like Mendocino and Lake County and Napa County when I can as well. And so I just was looking up the various kind of tourism or business or, you know, um, hospitality kind of associations in the various counties and kind of just that's how I ended up reaching out to visit Mendocino to Ramon.
Oh, cool. So you were just cold calling. You said, "Hey, like, what do you got for me?"
Yeah, exactly.
That's great. Well, coincidentally, yeah, it happened to be we as an association of owners and operators for the lodging industry in the county, we have a monthly meeting, and it's usually on the second Monday. Sometimes it gets pushed if there's like some stuff going on. So we're glad that it just worked out, and you're able to join us today.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I do know I'm coming out of the blue, so I appreciate it.
Of course. Yeah, we'll wait another minute or two and then we'll get things started. I see several of us are joining. Rakesh is here, Julia, Lisa and Ramon from VMC. Looks like Cab is here, Callie, Scott. I see your name on there, Diane, Kathleen, Ricardo, Kevin, and Joe. Thanks for joining today. So it's 4:04 and we'll probably see a couple more names enter as we get started, but for those who haven't already done so, please go ahead and put your name and property affiliation in the chat. Helps us keep a quick transcript of who's in attendance for the meetings. And then we'll introduce our first agenda item and our guest speaker today. And so May 13th, we're coming upon our peak season. Glad you could carve some time out of your days to join us. And right now we have the agenda with the VMC area update on the top. And I'm going to turn it over to Ramon to introduce our guest speaker today, who is with the Press Democrat.
Hi, everyone. So, I wanted to introduce Marissa from the Press Democrat. She reached out just seeking some more information from lodging owners and operators regarding the impact of the insurance crisis currently within local businesses. And I reached out to John, and it just so happens that we had the lodging meeting scheduled for today, and she was free. So I figured this would be the quickest and best way for her to be able to get a overall sense of different parts of the county, different operator sizes, and then just kind of do a quick Q&A before we proceed with the remainder of the meeting, and she can continue with what she has to do.
Perfect. Thank you, Ramon. And Marisa, welcome. Please go ahead and take the mic. Let us know how we can help.
Yeah, thank you. Like I said, thank you guys so much. I am a kind of community issues reporter for the Press Democrat, and I've done quite a bit of reporting on the insurance crisis, mostly how it affects homeowners. But I'm also interested in now kind of exploring if and how business owners are being affected after hearing from some in the Sonoma County area that it's been kind of, affecting their properties and how they are like looking at the bottom line. And so I just figured it would be worth reaching out more broadly to see, whether this crisis is something that started to take effect there in Mendocino County and how so, and or even if it's just starting to be part of the conversation, just trying to get a kind of sense of that. And so anybody that would be kind of willing to share that would be really helpful, I think, to me, in terms of just getting a sense of, yeah, like where we're at with this and whether it's affecting people or how and how. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm coming from.
Wonderful. Yeah, and for this format, there's a number of different participants here. So anyone who wants to jump in line or raise a hand or unmute, I think is probably okay. But Marisa, if you have any specific questions we can start with, we can go there, or we can kind of just share our general anecdotal experience, or provide you with sort of what we've seen as a trend in the hotel sphere over the last few years, or how should we start there?
I mean, I think, yeah, like if there's any trends you've noticed, or if there's any, like, just generally if it's becoming part of the conversation, like speaking to that a little bit. And then if anybody is interested or willing to like share their particular like anecdotal experience, like if of how they're affected, that would be great too. But however people want to share or whatever degree.
Great, yeah. So while we wait for hands to be raised, I'll just kick it off. And so my name's John, and I operate a group of hotels in Fort Bragg, which is on the coast. And our hotel insurance experience has fluctuated over the last few years. And we purchase liability insurance, but also property insurance and workers' comp insurance, of course, to run the business. And we've definitely seen premiums skyrocket just within the last 2 or 3 years. I know other owners and operators have experienced price surges even before that. We were really lucky, though, because we had a carrier who continued to just roll over our policy and really didn't exponentially increase our premiums year over year until just last year, when they decided to leave the underwriting for hotels in general in California. And this is a carrier called Oregon Mutual. And so because they left, we were forced to go back and shop on the open market. And our experience in Fort Bragg is definitely different than some of the other hotels or motels inside the county, which are more rural. So
Here.
I'm going to go ahead and Joe, I'm going to mute you since it sounds like you were talking there. But so I'm saying in Fort Bragg, we're actually a lucky market compared to perhaps Mendocino and Little River, who doesn't have access to an incorporated fire district, things like that. And so when we saw our carrier drop us, gosh, we just noticed, wow, three times the premium amounts, 3.5 times here from some, big carriers. And it's just remarkable that there hasn't been any, big solution for all of these businesses who are really looking for some relief. And I counted myself as one of the luckier operators over these last few years, not having to, incur some of those really big charges and increases, but that's no longer the case. What has been your experience? I'm going to call on somebody who is an owner operator here. Oh, Cab with his hand raised. Go ahead, Cab. Thanks for jumping in. Go ahead and unmute yourself when you have a chance.
Hey guys, thanks. We're fairly new on the coast, as you guys know. We purchased the property going on our 4th year here. So luckily, so far, I'm sort of in the camp you were, John, where we've been kind of rolled over the last few years. And so I'm probably expecting something to go up pretty soon. But in any case, Marisa, do you know Bryce and Suzanne at Mine and Farm in Guerneville?
Yeah, I've spoken with them.
Okay, they're very good friends, and he's had all sorts of trials and tribulations, so I won't
Yeah,
go with that, but yeah, pretty extreme, and I brought that to the group here before too, of some of that stuff coming down the pipe where he's been let go of his fire insurance completely recently. So they don't have any fire insurance and are looking desperately. But in any case, from our experience here, we've been very lucky so far, so I'll pass and let somebody else go.
thank you.
You're welcome.
And Rakesh, did I see you raise your hand as well?
Yes, I own an inn right on the ocean. It's called Alcovin, and of course, last 5 years the premium has been going up and up. That we sort of swallowed it, but now this year we've been told that the California Mutual is a carrier that they're not offering us the insurance. So
Hmm.
for reasons they call it UW guidelines, they find us too risky, whereas we feel that we are right in the ocean. We never, this business is more than 60 years old. It has never had any incident of fire, and we don't see it any risk in that. But and we have bank loans, and the bank has threatened us that you'll have to return the money if we don't get the insurance.
Hmm.
This is where we are, and I did try with State Farm or AAA. They are not too keen. So
Hmm.
we are
And
struggling to find a insurance carrier.
and you're still in that process now of trying to find a new carrier?
Yes, we are still in the process. Fortunately, we have another 2 months or so, but we're not very optimistic that way.
And so and when did your previous carrier kind of tell you that they're going to be dropping you? Is that
It was about 2 weeks back, so they did give us about 3 months notice that way.
and that's they've never mentioned anything with fire risk before to you?
No, never ever. So I don't understand this term. They say UW guidelines. So when I asked the broker, he said they just find it, it's not matching with the policy, their internal guidelines.
Hmm.
They don't say that it's high risk or low risk, but the internal guidelines do not let them, give us this insurance policy.
Hmm. I'm sorry to hear that.
And thanks, Rakesh. Joe Bradley with her hand raised. Go ahead, Joe. And Joe, sorry, you're muted. There
I
you
know.
go.
Hi. I do not own a lodging anymore. I do piecework for the Tourism Commission, but I've had a wonderful experience with the FAIR plan, which has been more than frustrating. So for instance, I just paid my whole bill in full, even though I'm not in a position right now that I should have. But I received a bill on Saturday, that was the 11th, that said it had been generated on the 17th of April. And my premium was due on the 7th of May. And I didn't really receive it until the 11th.
Hmm.
And when I talked to my insurance broker, who I know very well, I've used him for years, they have been consistently having these problems with the FAIR plan, and they were doing it before and then saying they would cancel you because you didn't pay on time. Now they're giving a little bit of wiggle room. I don't know how much. I just said, screw this, I'm going to put myself out on a ledge.
Hmm.
So I don't know if you guys with lodging are having the same problem. And if you're stuck with the FAIR plan also, I'm just finding that they're less than responsive. They don't seem to know what they're doing. And this is, my experience owning a house. And they canceled everybody. It doesn't matter that you live across the street from the airport runway, that you've got a huge tank of water, and that the fire department is also on the other side of the road.
Hmm.
Doesn't matter anymore. So I just figured I'd put my 2 cents worth in. Thank you.
Thank you. I
Thanks for
appreciate it.
being here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. And any other hands raised here, or wonder if I can call on Callie, who's certainly been around a long time and has seen a number of different comings and goings with the hotel industry. Callie,
I'm
could
not
you share
that
your
old, John.
experience? That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, similar experiences as John's properties. We were with Oregon Mutual as well, and we rode that wave as long as we could without any real increases. This past year, we got increased about 300%.
Wow.
And not being in an incorporated city, I have what's called a layered policy. So for the property insurance alone, I have 6 different carriers. The first 2 take the first several million, the second 2 the next, and the third, but it's kind of like health insurance now. It's still not actually great insurance, and it's very expensive.
Right.
And I'm remembering, I think it was Cab's colleague from Cabby that was talking about Sonoma County B&Bs that were paying between 10 and 20% of their growth was going towards insurance. I'm at about 8% now.
Wow.
So it's a big number.
Right. And what is your business that, sorry, I might have missed that.
Little River Inn.
Yeah, that's very interesting, Callie. And sorry to hear about the Oregon Mutual boat that we were both in. And Marisa, when I send out the announcement for our meeting, we have people who respond via email who can't join the meeting, and some of them have said that they would like to share their experience as well, but couldn't be here live today. So if you're interested, I can pass along their contact information to you.
Definitely, I can put it I'll put it in the chat now. So if anybody does want to follow up or chat more, I'm happy to chat with anybody. I really appreciate you guys giving me a little bit of time at the beginning of your meeting, because it's really helpful to know what's going on.
Yeah,
So-
you're very welcome. And if you have follow-ups for any of us, feel free to reach out to me. I'll send you an email, or Ramon, who has our contact information. But I'll follow up with you via email with the rest of those lodging members.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, VMC, this is still your item. So are you in a good spot to discuss anything you'd like to go over for the month of May?
Yeah, so finally the end of last week heard from Emily from Civitas that the county finally was, according to the county, would probably have the final version of the district plan finalized on their end. So I'm actually going to Sacramento tomorrow and Wednesday for a Cal Travel Advocacy Days, and they'll be there, so I'm going to meet with her. So hopefully by next week I have some information to share in regards to that. And then I see Lisa's on the call. I wanted her to just give an update of our new specials and deals section of the website, just for those that might not be aware that it's there, and just kind of give a little update on that.
I do see it's a little bit further down in the agenda. Do you want me to say something now, John? Is that okay?
Yeah. Do you want me to pull open a screen share, or do you want to take this screen, or do we even need that?
I don't want to take it because I'm not very good at screen share, but
Oh, I'll pull it up. No problem. Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second. Okay.
so while you're pulling that up, we have implemented, to me it's new, but everybody else who has explored our website, and old or new, it's new on our new website. We have a deals and specials page, which you can find at the home screen right there. And if anybody has any deals or specials, you can add it to that. It has a start and an end date, so we'll take it down when it's over. I would say it also can divide it up by location, which is kind of fun. So yep, coastal or forest or heartland. And maybe John, we can show them the way that if you as the hotel people, whoever's posting for this, you can find right there at the bottom of our webpage, there is a submit a deal or a discount. And it's yeah, at the home and at the very bottom, we can submit a deal or a special. And right there you can put in all your information and we'll post it on our website.
We just did it today. It's super easy.
Yeah, good. We did get an email from Deanna, so hopefully it all got worked out, but
Yeah, I think that last one on the last page still needs to come off. Yeah, that 10% one's old.
cool.
Cool. Thanks very much. Great
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, very exciting. We've submitted several specials as well for the properties, and I know others on the call have done so as well. So thanks for making that feature, and hopefully others will have learned about it through the agenda that was sent out, but also once we post this meeting, maybe others will be excited to share their specials. So very cool. And anything else from VMC?
That would be it.
All right, great.
No, I'd like to remind
Oh.
everybody.
Oh, you did make it,
Just-
Janice. I didn't see you.
Oh, yeah, I'm here. I just want to remind you all that the e-blast did go out to put on your thinking caps about the Harvest Festival, October 25th to I think November 10th. Just think of anything you want to do as a special. It doesn't have to be a discount. Spread the word to everyone else. Be creative. I need those ideas back in my hand no later than the first week in July at the very latest. So every time I see you, I will remind you about that, and you will probably get a lot more email reminders from me to please think of something you'd like to do as a special offer to entice people to visit us during that shoulder season. That's it.
Awesome, Janice. Thank you. I can confirm receipt of the email. I got it. Thank you. All right, perfect. Well, that was a nice update from VMC. Thank you so much. And I will go ahead and share my screen again. Sometimes it's nice to follow along with the agenda. But for some reason, and I don't know, I just maybe don't know how to do it yet, but I can't see the chat when I'm sharing my screen. So if someone is raising their hand or has a chat message, just chime in and let me know. But for the second agenda item, CAB was integral in helping build this list as a current review of current upcoming California state training requirements. And this is brought on by the new Workplace Violence Prevention Program, which is going into effect on July 1st. So as you're probably well aware, employers are required to develop and implement a written workplace violence prevention plan, and it can be a part of your IIPP that should already be in place, injury and illness prevention plan. Just a kind of a tangent, while some of these requirements and documents and catalogs are cumbersome, they kind of go hand in hand with the announcement last month of the increased expectation for OSHA compliance walkthroughs. There was one in market a few months back, and I understand that the hotel operator was hit pretty hard with some compliance fees for not having a lot of these documents in place. So it was seemingly random. I guess you can go onto the OSHA website and learn which sites were visited, and also the reason why. And there are no notes showing that there were any serious violations, just that it was a random walkthrough. So hopefully you're able to protect your business and be in compliance by using some of these links here on the agenda. So we won't need to spend too much time on all of them, but there's the Cal OSHA musculoskeletal injury prevention program, the Serve Safe Alcohol Responsible Beverage Service online training, sexual harassment prevention training, which should be done every 2 years, human trafficking awareness training every 2 years, and optionally the diversity inclusion training, which is available through the CHLA website. So the links, you can find more information for each of these different requirements. And then there's an additional link where CHLA offers training and other resources. So if you're not a member of CHLA, some of those links on the bottom won't work for you, but or a CABI member. Any questions on those items before we mosey right along, hitting our almost 4:30 mark? Hearing none. We've just gone through the opportunity to showcase lodging deals and specials. Here's some actual text for the instructions on how to do that. These are supposed to be links. I don't know why they stopped being colored, but hopefully you'll be able to find the places on the right space on the web page. Here's an exciting one that I was totally unaware of, that as of this year, January 1st, California State Lodging per diem increased from $90 per night to $107. And just out of curiosity, was anyone else aware of this, or is this news to you?
This is Scott. It wasn't news to me, but only because by being certified, as a green lodging, state employees can only stay at green lodging facilities. And so I was told at the time that Mendocino's rate was 107. So it wasn't anything that I received as a lodging person, like, we should all receive that information. I only received it for one, specific reason.
Got it. Thanks for letting me know. And yeah, we will get lots of state workers traveling through, requesting state rate, showing their state affiliated employee card or whatever. And we've always just given them $90 based on our availability when we could afford to do it. And just nice to be able to squeeze out the extra $17 now. So I'm excited about that. Here are the other counties in California where the state rate had increased above 107. So 107 is the base rate. If if our county isn't listed here, it's not, unfortunately. So some other counties are getting quite a bit more. Just going to check for any hands raised, and seeing none, we'll just move right along. And I'm happy to see that Ricardo is on the call today. Ricardo, are you willing to have a quick dialogue on this next agenda item with me?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Hey, how are things going for you, by the way?
Very good, thank you.
Good. So Ricardo and I were chatting offline a couple weeks ago about the meal breaks and meal break waivers. And can you walk us through what was the sort of the nature of the inquiry?
Yes, happy to do so. Thank you, John. So my thought process was I just wanted to get an idea as to what the rest of the hotel operators were doing here in our market. In my experience, as it relates to meal breaks, in hotels that have a limited number of rooms where there's only one person per shift at the front desk, most of the places that I've worked at, they provided the front desk an on-duty meal break waiver that they sign. So the person works for 8 hours and get paid for 8 hours, and they take a meal break on duty. Only in a couple of places, one in San Francisco and the other one being here, is that the employer chose to pay an extra hour as a missed meal break penalty. So they effectively work 8 hours. They don't have an official meal break, although they're allowed to take a meal break on duty, but they get paid an extra hour per shift. So I was just interested in knowing if that's a fairly common practice in our market, or is that something more of an exception than the rule? John, thank you for sharing your policy. It looks like it's similar to what I've been used to most of hotels that I've worked in the past. But I just wanted to gauge kind of like what everyone else is doing if they're willing to share.
Yeah, thank you very much. I thought that was really interesting, and to consider it from different angles. So what I shared with Ricardo was really the result of what my interpretation of this meal break waiver law is. And I said, here's how we generally operate. Non-exempt, meaning wage-based employees who work more than 5 hours in a day, must be provided with an unpaid 30-minute meal break before the end of their fifth hour of work. This meal break can be waived if the employee will not work more than 6 hours in a day. And meal break waivers must be voluntary and cannot be coerced by the employer. Any form of employer coercion to make an employee waive their meal break is unlawful. And waiving a meal break does not entitle the employee to any additional compensation. They're simply foregoing the break, not earning extra pay, which sort of touched on part of the conversation that we were having. This is where we have a 24-hour front desk, and we'll have a night auditor shift who can't leave or can't just step away and be unavailable for their shift. So employees who are the sole operator of a single person shift, such as a night audit shift, may be required to remain on duty during meal periods. In this case, the employer must pay the employee for this on-duty meal break. And there's some key requirements for these exceptions. Is there anyone else who sees this meal break regulation or law differently, or interprets it differently, or has something differently in place at their hotel, or wants to just discuss it a little bit? Kevin Fleming, are you still on the call? Would you like to weigh in?
Yeah, I don't have
Hello,
a
I'm on
situation
the call.
here.
Oh, sorry. I think that was Cab and Kevin at the same time. I missed what you said, Kevin.
Oh, just saying I'm here, and it's great content. No, that's similar to what we're doing here with the meals. It's actually, we need to remind our team. Sometimes they get caught up, and we kind of need to remind them to take their breaks because it's legally required. But appreciate what you're doing over at Beachcomber here in this agenda. That's helpful. I'm gonna share it with our team here.
Oh, great. No, yeah, we do the same thing. And a housekeeper or a maintenance worker gets rolling on their day, and we say, hey, we can't voluntarily be, agreeing to a workplace that allows you not to take a lunch break. So you better clock out and go have some lunch. And, and so we're constantly having that reminder. Joe with her hand raised. Go ahead, Joe.
I just have a question. They said in that you don't have to compensate them for it if they choose not to. And what Ricardo said was that he is giving them money. And I'm wondering if you went to the labor board and said, I just worked an 8-hour shift. I didn't take an hour break, but they paid me for it. The labor board would then make it an hour overtime, and you'd owe them another half hour, another half day, hours of pay. So I know that forever ago, in another lifetime, I did take somebody to the labor board, and they weren't paying me overtime. They were paying me straight time, and they owed me a chunk of change. So I would make sure legally that if you do give them some money, that you don't end up sticking your foot into something that might bite you. I
Yeah,
would check into that with a labor attorney or something, as opposed to the labor board, so they don't flag you.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good point. I think that by awarding the team members that extra hour for specifically called missed meal break is not necessarily subject to overtime rules. As a matter of fact, it would probably be the safest way to proceed if you're willing to pay the extra $20,000 a year that costs, right? So, which is something that I'm not necessarily too used to seeing. Again, I've seen it only in a couple of hotels in my experience. and most of the hotels that I worked at, they were able to have the team members agree to this on-duty meal break.
Is that in California?
Yes, yes. As a matter of fact, the Cal Chamber has a specific on-duty meal break form that employees can sign, but I think there's always a disclaimer that says it might not be necessarily enforceable, to your point, that if somebody brings a complaint to the labor department with that meal break that is or that on-duty meal break that is signed, chances are that the employer will lose. So I think that by awarding that extra hour, we're safer. But I'm not sure how common that practice is in our market. Just trying to have an idea.
Yeah, Ricardo, everyone takes meal breaks except the kitchen staff. And I've been wondering if I need to bite the bullet and do what you're suggesting. So I'm interested to learn that you are doing that.
So how do you handle if your front desk has the time to take a meal break? Are they taking it on duty? Or
yeah, they clock out. We use super high tech biometric clock that's expecting them to take a break. So they have to go scan their finger. They go away for a half hour, and then they can't actually get back. They can't clock back in until the half hour is passed. And we do pay them for that time.
And if the phone rings or a guest needs assistance, are they required to come back?
No, we have more than one on, except for the night audit.
Got it. And how about for the night audit person?
Night audit would just go with the rules that were just on the screen, that they're, they can sleep. They don't even.
Yeah, no,
Right, so, yeah, but they can take a break whenever they want, I suppose. They don't clock out.
Right, and they are paid 8 hours straight, as opposed to an extra hour for not being able to take an off duty.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. No, correct. I'm sorry. They don't. We just expect them to take their breaks when they need to. Not so worried about the night audit. It's the kitchen staff that there is no, we don't have an extra kitchen person to plug in while people stagger their breaks.
Yeah, and Callie, do they work more than 6-hour shifts consecutively?
The kitchen does, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that I would think that there probably would be something that applies to them. Because I don't have that experience with any of my staff, but I guess my interpretation of how California wants to see its meal breaks applied is that there's at least an opportunity for an employee, unless they're what they're qualifying as the sole operator of a single person shift. And I mean,
with 95 employees, I've managed to make that happen across all the departments except for that one.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for sharing, Callie.
Yeah, no, thank you. You're inspiring me to to bite that bullet, as I said.
Great. Any other? Cab, I didn't mean to cut you off earlier when I was pulling Kevin off the mute button. Did you have anything as well that you wanted to add?
No, thank you, John. I thought you were calling on me. My mistake.
No problem. I appreciate you jumping in. All right. Let's see here. We've got about 20 minutes left and a few more agenda items to go over. So let's jump right in. The Visit California Digital Marketing Webinar Series. Visit California is hosting a series of free digital marketing webinars for tourism stakeholders. And you can learn about such topics as destination branding, effective website strategies, emerging technologies, influencer engagement, and maximizing owned lists like email and text message. So if you haven't been to the website, it's produced by a company called Unisphere Destinations and JLL. And they actually have the recordings that you can click onto and watch the entire presentation if you miss it. So if you don't have a chance to register, you can still see their content. I have no idea if this content will be available indefinitely or if it has a bit of a timestamp, but all of them have passed except for this last one, owned lists, which of course is things like email campaigns and text message campaigns. So if you want to see the live and be a part of the Q&A, you can register at the link there. And there's a link in the agenda for you to check out as well. Has anyone seen these webinars, or has anyone participated in them or plans to?
Deanna's planning to attend them or check them out. So she was interested today to check it. Right now she's checking in a guest, so but I'll pass it along.
No problem. Yeah, that's great. I think I'm interested to at least go back through them, and if not, kind of speed watch. Hopefully extract some nuggets of value from some of them. So if I find anything amazingly insightful, I'll report back. And 2 more items to go over. Registration's open for the California Hotel Conference and Trade Shows. There's a Southern California version and a Northern California version. And has anyone been to the Northern California Hotel Conference and Trade Show, or even the SoCal one? I have been to the NorCal one in the past, but I don't have plans to go this year. Is anyone planning on going on Thursday, May 23rd, right before Memorial Weekend?
I may be going.
Oh, great. Have you been to them in the past, Ricardo?
Yes, I have. They're actually very useful. They have great information and a great opportunity to network.
Yeah, I thought so too. The education sessions are kind of fun. Like you said, networking. I really like the trade show. In fact, at the last one, we picked our electronic lock vendor because there were 3 different vendors set up at the trade show, and we were able to see demonstrations for all the electronic locks, and that was pretty cool. So we ended up installing them in 3 of our 4 hotels in Fort Bragg. And so just kind of a cool setup. Yeah, so if you haven't registered and want to go, here's the website and with a link there. Last one, which I think Lisa mentioned on our last meeting, is the trend of the science of sleep, how it's becoming a travel trend. And the rise of sleep tourism reflects a growing societal focus on wellness and restorative travel experiences, with a significant increase in interest since the pandemic. Travelers, particularly business professionals and women under 50, are prioritizing sleep-related amenities and experiences, leading to a surge in demand for accommodations and travel packages designed to enhance sleep quality. From personalized sleep plans for jet lag to luxury hotels offering advanced sleep technology, travel industry is adapting to meet the needs of individuals seeking restful and rejuvenating journeys. And I browsed the article from Skift a while back. For some reason, it's not loading. But yeah, I'm just kind of curious to know if anyone's explored this trend of sleep science within the lodging industry. Have you looked into it at all? Have you thought about incorporating any of them into your business plans? I'm guessing everyone has, and they just don't want to share their secrets.
We're not a very dynamic group of people here today.
I can't wait to listen to the recording and hear myself talk the entire time. This is pretty fun. No, I'm just kidding. But it sounds like not yet. This Mendocino County, at least this group, will be late adopters of sleep science. So Lisa, it doesn't sound like anyone in this group is going to have your answer for the
Come on, I
travel
just want to come
industry.
stay somewhere and sleep. I want to get away from my family.
You are the target market, I think.
Yeah, I guess so. A tired 40-year-old mother. That's what target.
Yeah, I might send out a survey and say, what do you want? And how can we create it? And
Just
maybe
hand
we'll
out earplugs and those eye masks so we can all sleep for many hours. and weighted
Perfect.
blankets. I like it.
Oh, okay. So has the weighted blanket trend actually been worth all the hype?
I don't know. I think
Okay. All right.
so.
All right. Yeah. So here's some wellness patches that one property does, a performance sleep mask. So some ideas. This could be you waiting for your flight in an airport somewhere. Who knows? But we are 15 minutes shy of our 5 o'clock deadline today. I'll open the floor for general conversation, and then pending none, we'll end early today. Diane has chimed in on the chat. I have no idea what that even is. Yeah, same, Diane, until I read this article and talked with Lisa about it briefly last month. Scott with his hand raised. Go ahead, Scott. And you are muted if you haven't unmuted.
So I mentioned it at the last meeting we had together, but I'm organizing a memorial, not a service, but a memorial get together for Sam Cooke, who had a food truck, and he would stop outside of Dick's and Golden West. And basically, he would be outside of bars and would be grilling up and serving barbecue. And he died tragically at the end of March. And so the memorial service is this Friday at Golden West Saloon. It's going to start at 6:30, and the first 2 hours will be kind of an open mic for people to share stories about him. I'm going to sing kind of a memorial song for him that I'm hoping to do early so that we get the sad song out of the way, and the rest of the 2 hours of sharing will be, more of a happy sort of thing. But anyway, I invite any of you who may have known him to come to that. Thanks, Callie, for putting up posters, or allowing a non-Little River Inn event to be posted in your restaurant and in the lobby. And if anybody else has posted those posters, I thank you as well. I just happened to be at dinner last night and saw the poster up at your place, Callie. So again, it's Friday the 17th, starting at 6:30. And then after the 2 hours of kind of open mic, then there will be scheduled music, which is provided by two. One's a local DJ, and then one is a local band. So should be an interesting evening.
Thanks so much, Scott, for all of that information, and appreciate you organizing that. Diane has her hand raised as well. Go ahead, Diane.
Hi, yeah, I'm just throwing this out as general discussion. We are working on redesigning our parking lot. It's really small. Right now it has like 6 spots and we're expanding it to 10. And we are putting in EV chargers. And we're running into this weird issue. And I feel like the people we're talking to don't really know the answers. So I'm wondering if anybody else knows, but they say we have to put in an ADA, like a van accessible parking space, with an EV charger. And so we're putting in 4 chargers altogether. We wanted to put in 5, but then they're telling us that if we have 5 chargers, we have to actually have 2 handicap spots. And I'm like, we only have 10 spots. So putting 2 to be handicapped just seems really strange. Does anybody have any experience with any of this?
I do, Diane. We're putting in some EV chargers at one of our properties right now, and we're running into the first barrier, which is the threshold of 2 needing 1 ADA with a van, a van spot. And we don't even have extra parking spaces when we're busy. you know, we have 31 rooms at this property and we have 31 spaces. And so we're often telling people, hey, if you have multiple vehicles, you can't park them in our lot because you're not going to have parking space. So we're having to get rid of one for the van accessibility feature. And we're kind of scratching our heads like, oh man, what do we do? And so we're not going to do what I'm going to say, but someone could, it was told to me, finish the design, paint the lines, have it inspected, sign off on the inspection, and then bring your lines back however you want them and operate your EV chargers the way that they should be. Now, I'm saying this just because it was told to me, hey, you decide if your parking spaces are worth more than, you know, a potential ADA inspection in the future where you won't be up to code. But we are heavily considering that hypothetical guidance.
Could I maybe email you at some other time with some other questions, since this parking lot is just turned into a big confusing nightmare?
Absolutely. Yeah, please do. And we found some resources that have been helpful. So I'll be happy to share them with you, and just shoot me an email anytime.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And some hands raised in the chat in the queue. I see Joe, who has her hand raised.
Yeah, the only reason I'm raising my hand when it comes to ADA and they put hard lines and stuff, whether it's parking or building, I just finished redoing a building that was being changed from assisted living to residential. And if we put more than so many units in, we have to change the parking and the EV units and the ADA accessible as well. So any of this ADA stuff, I mean, it's there for a reason, but I would not do anything to put you to tilt. Unless you're gonna possibly do what John said somebody else probably did. But the thing is we have one charger at Denon's, what we put in, and the driveway where it is on the building, we expanded the width so it was ADA compliant. And it wasn't required at the time, but you're going to find now that the ADA requirements are locked in cement and they're checking them. And so we're not putting any more units into this building other than 12, because everything then changes from the width of the rooms to the parking to the EV chargers, all of it. They put these it's like John's favorite hard stop. That's what they do. It's hard stop and you got to go to square two. I'm sorry to be a downer.
No, I mean, and really, that's exactly right. It's but it's kind of interesting. And I, like you said, I 100% on board with finding a way to accommodate those who need accessibility, extra help. Totally fine. But when you are required to designate a parking spot that cannot be used by anyone else because you want to enhance your EV infrastructure,
right?
It's like, what? It contradict the goals of improving your property, well, you know what I'm trying to say, but it can be frustrating.
Yeah. So now that Kevin has Denon's, I have no idea what he's going to be up against. Or hopefully he won't, could all get grandfathered. But we did try to think ahead when we had it.
We've not specific to Denon's, but we've had a little experience with the kind of all the ADA stuff at another property. And yeah, I mean, like Joe, to your point, that space is wider, but if you get a CASP report, It's like, the space you're talking about specifically is like not flat, exactly flat enough. And there's all this like, it gets really, if you're close but not there, it like doesn't count, which is interesting. Only really matters if someone holds you to it. But it's like, we've been getting an education, some of that stuff, which happy to talk with anyone offline
The
about.
county
but
is
some of
so
those
money
things,
hungry, nothing would surprise me right now.
yeah. So yeah, it's a fun world. I know it's well intentioned, but sometimes, like John, like you're saying, it's gets in the way. Like also with other amenities, EV's one of them. But if you had a fire pit, then you also need one that's, you know, fully accessible. And if not, you should remove your, you know, by the letter of the law, you should remove the fire pits for everyone. If you're going to have, you know, and that's, so it's like, it's a funky implementation of, like, I think a well-intentioned law.
Right.
So I would suggest getting a cast, since Kevin brought it up. If you hire a cast, depending on how much work you're doing, it makes a big difference, because then you go into it with your eyes open, as opposed to doing it and then to have to undo it.
Yeah, definitely don't. That's a, you know, don't do things. I mean, you can, but if you do things to get closer but not fully compliant, then you're really not protected if someone wanted to make a stink about your situation.
Can I ask, what do you mean hire a cast?
It's a capital C, lowercase a, uppercase S, and uppercase P. It's a California accessibility specialist. And when we were doing this building, in fact, when we went to the county and said, what do we need? Building department said, you need to hire a cast and make sure you do it. We won't say it, but a cast is licensed to do it. So that's their specialty. And depending on what you're doing down there, you may want, you know, he's not going to go report it to anybody, but just opening up a can of worms. You know, and you said you want to put 10 parking places in, and so they're saying if you put 10 in, that you have to put 2 EVs.
No, they're saying if I put 5 EVs, I have to have 2 handicap spots, 1 van accessible and then 1 regular one. But if I put in 4 EVs, I only have to put in the van accessible.
I would just put in 4.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what we're gonna do. It just seems so crazy, because I'm like, we only have 10 spots. And, you know, I want to be ADA accessible. We're working on turning one of our units into ADA accessible, but this is a hiking area. You know, we're not getting a ton of people with major disabilities that are staying with us here. And so it just seems like a lot to ask us to turn 2 out of our 10 spots into.
What doesn't make sense to us, they have just these straight lines, and once you cross them, you're toast.
Yeah, there's no wiggle room to, you know, and that's what we've been trying to get, like a, you know, a waiver or something. But from what I'm hearing from you guys, I think we just gotta just go with 4 and save ourselves the headache.
Well, I would be glad to give you the number of the cast we used, who's, you know, he's familiar with stuff here on the coast. And
oh, great.
Don't know if he'll pay, he will charge you just for answering questions.
Okay, well, yeah, I'll follow up with you to get his number.
Okay.
We
Thank
might
you.
get cut off right now, but Diane, feel free
Okay,
to shoot
sorry.
me an email. And no, I just want to let you know, we hit 5 o'clock, so we'll probably just plan on talking again next month. Thank you to all who was able to join today.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Here, everyone.